Welcome to the Sold Too Early Sports Card Podcast. I always figured one of us will be kidnapped by the cartel. I didn't know it'd be Kai. That's not Kai. I'm not paying his bond. And we have Rob here, Collector's Choice Cards. Rob, how the hell you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Dave?
Listen, you know what? 2 weeks with no Kai feels like a vacation for myself. But seriously though, fuck Kai. He's on vacation in Mexico. I don't need him anyway. I'm not missing him at all. What? Maybe. How dare I? No, but like, dude, everything here is good. Really can't complain. I know you and I are prepping for Fanatics Fest 10 days from now at time of recording. So it's going to be, in my opinion, the second best show of the year.
Yeah, based off of their ups and downs, right? Overall through their card shows, whether it's through the main show that they've had at the Javits Center in New York, or through their other attempts to grow it so fast, right? That kind of led to a little bit of a dip in like the public's perception of their shows. This is a show they're gonna have to really follow up and show like how they operated in the first instance of the show. They're really gonna have to show that, hey, we had a few hiccups along the way, but we're back and better than ever.
Dude, I think you absolutely nailed it. So, like, 4th of July is coming up. Obviously, you're supposed to be in Dallas. I'm supposed to be in Dallas. I'm skipping it. You're skipping it too. This is a very important show coming up as a result. And I think a lot of people, frankly, who do either cards full time like yourself or someone who does take a little more seriously like I do, this is a major time to start either getting ready for national, either to start buying stuff, selling stuff, whatever else. As Rob freezes, he's back. This is a major time. And you touch on it there as well. Fanatics does actually have to win back a lot of people in a way from a show perspective because you attended the first Fanatics Fest, right? You set up?
Yes.
What did you think of it?
I think there's a few shows in this country I could probably name on less than one hand where you're moving sizable cards, and obviously that's one of the major shows. I would probably say on one hand you're looking at the National, you're looking at Fanatics, you're looking at Dallas, Burbank, and maybe like the Chicago Spectacular, or maybe like the August version of Culture Collision, like maybe like one of those shows, right? Like
Yep.
of those five shows, but realistically, you know, I set up at Fanatics before, and I think that people know that that's a show where there's a lot of people that are not your traditional card show buyers and attendees that are attending those events. And those are the type of shows where you may move a few five, potentially even six-figure cards if you have them available and they're priced accordingly.
Well, that's the funny thing about it too, is New York is obviously expensive. Javits Center is the best venue a card show can be in. It's a great venue in general for any kind of collectible or convention. I've had the liberty of going there a couple times for the New York Auto Show when I was working with BMW, which was awesome. And it's an incredible space to have it for sports trading cards. Just first off shows that like this industry is growing and it's very good and everything like that. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with like a firehouse card show, a 30 table show, or Burbank's in the Anaheim Convention Center when they do their major show, and that's an awesome venue. Don't get me wrong, but like the Javits Center is on its own tier, in my opinion, of location. Now, with that comes cost, and it is not a cheap show at all. So 3-day passes for adults are $150. They're $60 per day in general for people, and even kids are being charged. I get it; it's an expensive thing. But what that tells you, if you're attending the show and you are either a vendor or you're someone who's going to walk in and try to buy, that's a expensive pill to swallow. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of bankroll you have. That's still a good amount of money. You feel that as opposed to a Dallas where I think like the average cost is what, $75 for the 3-day weekend for a VIP pass, something like that.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point, Dave.
Oh, 90. Okay.
Realistically, you make a really good point because luckily for you and I, we're both in the Northeast, so we don't have to fly.
Nope.
But some of the people that maybe have a one-man team or even a multiple member team flying out, if you got a 3 or 4 team member worth of
Crew.
flights, a couple hotel rooms for 3 or 4 days, a booth, just one booth, one regular booth. Your expenses for a 3 or 4 person team with one booth, with airfare, with hotels, with meals, transportation, could be close to $10,000. I mean, just to set up for one booth for a team.
And I know that could be shocking to some people, but like Rob, as someone who had a table last year, it was $3,000. Setting up with you this year, which thankfully you were able to accommodate us. Our booth cost went up 10%. It's like 3,300.
So yeah, it depends on whether you're getting the standard or the booth where you have a little bit more exposure on one of the
Yeah.
aisles. They
So
consider it corner booths, but I think standards were 3,000 for 3 6-foot tables, and then I think corners were like 33 or 3,400 plus tax, so it was like $3,500.
yeah. So like that is the most expensive show in the country to currently set up for. And you do get something for that. You get your 3 tables, you get 3 showcases, you have to rent more, so that's another expense as well. And you're right, you and I actually do get to take advantage of the fact like I'm in New Jersey, you are in Connecticut.
Yep.
So like are you even staying over? Are you staying in the city? Or are you gonna be commuting in?
No, I think I'm going to stay over.
Okay.
I may go in Friday morning just to help reduce costs a little. Just wake up early Friday morning instead of going in Thursday. But yeah, I mean, it adds. It definitely. I mean, from an expense standpoint, you really have to go in knowing for a 3 day show you want to have a strong Friday and maybe have one showcase of like one target I had last year was having one showcase of realistically price point cards that other people wouldn't have. So I
Yep.
had like one showcase of maybe cards from 100 to 300, and it really helped because that case was gone by Friday, end of
Dude,
Friday.
it's so funny too, because like now we have a full year of like data behind this too. The most cards I sold last show was soccer, which is so funny to me because like I probably had one of the only soccer showcases in there. And by the way, I don't consider myself a soccer dealer, football dealer, basketball dealer, whatever. I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers that make sense. I generally say yes to most weird kind of inventory that I can buy because, and this bites me in the ass every now and again, but I move inventory better than I think most people do. And I'm willing to take back some stuff that could be bricks in some way, but other opportunities out as a way to facilitate business. I don't really mind that because I always have neat shit. I could have 15 downtowns and kabooms, but then you're playing percentage games with everyone else, and it's like, well, if I can get it for 97, he get it for 96. It is what it is. But I'm also a hypocrite because I literally have on my desk right now a Jane Daniels optic that I have to go send in for grading. So I'm a dirty hypocrite here.
No, I think you make a good point. Like, you have to have a different on these major shows. You have to go in with a mindset of what your expectations are,
Yep.
and at the bigger cost shows, the amount of competition and the amount of money in the room. Sometimes those aren't great shows to buy at. Maybe you're going to buy niche cards that you don't see every day, and because you're going to have to pay a lot stronger than you would at maybe a local or regional show, or through online communications. But realistically, a lot of those shows, for a vendor standpoint, you're there to move cards. You're there to
Yep.
sell cards. People are there to buy cards. You have to price your stuff accordingly to the point where you can justify the expenses and have the trip make sense when it comes to that price point in terms of setting up as a vendor.
Dude, I mean, I didn't walk a ton of the show last year, and that's my fault, but I was also very busy, so that's also like a good thing. Were there value box type things last year? Do you remember?
No, I don't think so. I realistically, you see that at the national more, just because a lot of people are grandfathered in at more realistic price points.
Yep.
But the cost to operate the national versus the cost to operate at the Javits Center, it's not even comparable. I mean, realistically, for just the amount of personnel you need for regular routine general personnel and probably security at a venue like the Javits Center, I could only imagine what the expenses are looking like to operate something like this. And
Plus, it's
the rumor I heard was from the first time around, they didn't even make money.
no, they
From
lost money. They
yeah,
did, and it wouldn't shock me that's a six-figure per day, operating cost, especially in New York as well. It's pretty freaking crazy, and you have all the talent as well, and all the other things there. Because don't forget, the sports card side of things is like, oh yeah, we also have a sports card show. Like there is way more things that are impressive about this than a sports card show. Like I'm not an influencer person, but it is what it is. Like iShow Speed was walking around. Jake Paul, Dana White, Tom Brady, and Gronk were doing things. Like these are actual people with talent and like followings, just walking around with their security detail, obviously, and like going around doing things. That's super cool and impressive. You're not gonna see freaking who's a random athlete I can pull out. Let's see the roster real quick. You're not gonna see Travis Scott walking around your 100-table show in Monmouth County, New Jersey. I'm sorry. Eli Manning's not pulling up to the Chicago Spectacular unless he's getting paid to sign autographs, or Jaden Daniels not coming to your show in, the greater DC area. Like the selling point of this is all of these talented people. And who's someone who's not talented? I'm going to throw a shot at an old Odell Beckham Jr., who will probably just moss me anyway. The incredible talent here is another selling point as well. And that is something that no other card show or really any other sporting event can kind of handle, except for like maybe the Super Bowl, which is not even the point.
yeah. I mean, this is the type of show where there's something for everyone. I think whether you're looking to listen to panels or go to all the interactive experiences, or pick up a couple cards or sell a couple cards, or even as a vendor, right? Like I had Brady and multiple of these celebrities and athletes walk by my booth last year. Even before I started the show, ironically, Michael Rubin from Fanatics went around each of the dealers, said hello, like in the morning of setup, walked around through each of the aisles, wasn't even with security or anything, said hello to each of the dealers. I was able to talk to him for a minute or so, but it's not something you really experience. It's different than any other show, really, that I've experienced. It's not your traditional card show. It's not your traditional autograph show. It's something where you really are going to see people from all different, professional backgrounds and all different ages and all different, locations. I mean, you got to also think this is New York City, right? It's the biggest international traveler city in the world. Like people go
At
to
least
the
in the
US.
US, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like for people from the world, if they're coming to the US, New York's the biggest city to go to. So they may check off two boxes by saying, "Hey, this is something I'd really like to go to. I'm based in China. I've never gone to a US based sports card show, and I've always wanted to go to the US. I'm going to go." Right? So you may be getting different clientele that you've ever had an experience of dealing with.
So what am I going to say? This is a whole episode sponsored. We're getting paid, obviously, under the table. I'm kidding. We're not getting. I wish I was getting paid. That'd be fucking awesome. I'm actively losing money talking about Fanatics.
It's not like we got a free booth or anything, guys.
Dude, I wish. I would be just. I'm ready to sell out. Believe me, I've said that a bunch. I don't care. No, but this is going to be amazing. I'm very excited for it. Fanatics does have something to prove to vendors in the sports card world after the last year of 3 shows being canceled. If this is going to be their mecca, don't be shocked. And I've said this a couple times, especially last year. If they try to go after the National, like the difference between this and the National now is what? 7 weeks, if even. It is 49 days, 7 weeks away, literally, as of recording. So it's a 5-week difference, generally. That's not that much time. Like, I mean, we're already skipping July 4th Dallas. We'd be doing that anyway, because that's July 4th. I don't really want to sit in a card show room with a bunch of men selling sports cards when I can just do that either online or at another show or whatever else but we're seeing like there's true competition now, and I think the Nationals paid attention to it. They made changes. I had conversations with that, thankfully, which is incredible. But like, this is very clearly, in my opinion, happening.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, Dave. Like, I mean, you and I both are part of that new influx of dealers that's going to be set up at the National, and
Yep.
I know you were set up last year. And realistically, realistically, they understand that they have to step their game up. Like, there's no way around it. You know, the old format, the old way of doing things, or having outdated vendors just throw stuff out on the tables, isn't going to work anymore. Like, there has to be some sense of quality control to make sure that the demand stays how it has been, right? So they're just too. I mean, the simplistic way to look at it is I look at the National versus Fanatics very differently.
Yep.
The National's lower cost. It's usually in more of a, as you would put it, like a mid-tier city, like a mid-range city. The costs to go there are usually are less expensive versus going to New York or going to Miami or going to and
Vegas or LA or something.
yeah, and on top of that, right? Like, realistically, the operating cost from a dealer is much lower. It
Yep.
just is. It just is. So
Now, I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's a couple things I want to say. Fanatics is definitely a little more gaudy in your face, more attention seeking, which is the new age of things and where they're going, in my opinion. The National, should I say this? It doesn't matter. It's fine. The operating cost of a booth at the National is not kept up with inflation. If the booths went to public auction and people could bid on the locations, the first spot, what if I could see the map? The first spot in the room, the main one, would probably be six figures. And I think that's well into the six figures as well. Whatever the best spot would be, which theoretically I guess would be these, because that's the main entrance, or even this one, which is PSA. I think that space would be six figures handily if you could bid on it in an open market. The operating cost is under $1,500 for a booth, a 10 by 10 booth. It's terrifying, and I don't know if Rob froze or not, or he's. You were really pausing for dramatic effect there.
No,
it's scary, dude.
It's a lot. So like, I look at what I was really trying to say is that I look at the National like a mom and pop steakhouse. You know, a little bit more old school, a little bit more price cautious, a little bit more realistic, and like the Fanatic show is like going to South Beach at Poppy Steak, and you're just blowing it out. Like,
yeah, and
like
there's
that's the
room
difference
for
between
both.
the two.
Yeah, you both can absolutely exist, but you know what? I know one is going to try and colonize the other. I don't know what it's going to look like, but Fanatics has very much, in my opinion, suffocated the competition for sports cards because they now have the licensing for MLB, NFL, and NBA in the next calendar year. Some of that actually starting this year, because NBA ends in October, and I think NFL is like March. So it's like right around the corner for both. They don't officially have a partnership with any grading company though, right?
I don't think they own any grading company, no.
Okay, so then they're gonna end up acquiring like Beckett or something, in my opinion. That way they can go against PSA. Like,
And I mean, I know they've you know, they have their own auction site or whatever, but
yep.
From my understanding, they were gonna try to acquire one of the major data repositories that's common in the hobby, whether that's Alt or Card Ladder or whatever it may be. From my understanding, like, that's, I mean, kind of one of the, you know, the backbones, the benchmarks that's used in the hobby in terms of how people differentiate values in cards. Like, that's kind of how you know, that's kind of a necessity, I feel like, for them to have some sort of involvement in.
I mean, yeah, think about all the verticals they have. They're going to be the ones producing the cards, whether it's literally producing the cards under the TOS umbrella or, you know, outsourcing and then getting it in hand across major sports in the US. Then if they acquire a grading company, a Beckett, they're not going to get SGC. They're not going to get CGS because nothing expensive is going to be graded with CGC or whatever it is. To get Beckett, then you have the ability to print the card, get the card into your packs, get the card professionally graded, and then sell it on your platform. Like, it is intelligent. It's very smart. Do people like that? No. Do I personally like it? I don't know. I mean, I graded stuff with Beckett this week and it came back and I'm happy. But Beckett also is dying. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Have you looked at the grading reports for them lately? It's terrible.
Yeah, I think people grade with them because of convenience. Like if we're at Dallas and we need raw card reviews done or graded card reviews done, or we want a card turned around by before the end of the weekend, like that's when you're grading with Beckett. But routinely, I'm not sending, unless it's stuff that I don't, I'm not sending stuff out usually through the mail through Beckett. It's usually going to PSA if I am grading.
Yeah. I graded with Beckett because they were at the Third Coast Card Show a couple weeks ago. It was $100 per card, and I was like, all right, well, I want these graded for Fanatics Fest. PSA's not going to have it in time. And also, don't forget, dude, I can drive to the Jersey City office too on Wednesdays and do PSA submissions. But Beckett was more convenient, and it got back in a timely manner. I'm going to have that in hand probably by next episode, like a week from today, which is perfect because then you have a major show coming up right after.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they have a lot of abilities to, especially when you have the amount of the amount of relations that they have as a company. I mean, realistically, they have all the contacts for autograph signers for athletes. They have celebrities, artists, actors and actresses. Like they've got pretty much their hands in all the different realms for them to basically position themselves, not just from a financial standpoint, but from a relation standpoint, to position them where they could be very hard to take down. For another show to take down or compete with.
Did you see the I don't know if it was 30 Seconds to Mars? It was some kind of band that they're working with now. It was a couple days ago. They got it was Linkin Park. Okay, I was on the right track. But they got Linkin Park signed concert use like pics from their lead guitarist and I guess vocalist too. This is fucking sick. This is like, if they can start making this for musicianal talent as well, yeah, this is a great thing. Like, it's different. And the thing the industry has needed the most, in my opinion, is something different. I can't say it's going to be good or bad, but for every rookie debut patch auto they have, or musician thing like this, you get Frozen Fractors, which I think are dumb and silly, or 40 years of more Vader rookie or Prism shit, but that's Panini's problem. And frankly, Panini's not really doing much these days anymore anyway.
I mean, what could be super cool about it, like I see like a photo was that Jay-Z in the comments, like it's like realistically, like imagine you get a card like this for a concert you physically attended with like a piece of Jay-Z's microphone or something like that. Like it's like the microphone he held, or it kind of throws me back to, I know this is kind of deep diving back to the COVID era of cards that you and I were both involved in, that some other people may have not had as much experience with. Like, remember when they released the Project 2020 cards? Like, it's like the amount of clout on those cards when they came out. Like, people were paying ungodly amounts for all of these different artists created cards. They would have artist proof versions. They would have all these different designs from all these different artists. But like, you would get cards designed by a very well-renowned artist of your favorite player, and people were paying ungodly amounts of money for them.
So I Googled Project 20. I know you were talking. I'm sorry. I Googled Project 2020. This is the wrong thing. This is the very political thing that like Republicans were doing or some shit. So I'm way off on what this is. I'm gonna go to Beckett. I don't need that. I can cause my own political issues. I don't need to gonna load. It's pretty funny. I do like the idea though, the headcanon that these sports cards led to political unrest, which is
Oh
pretty
yeah.
fair considering how much of a fucking dump these were. Um, this was the biggest piece of dog shit ever. Um, I wonder if I can actually find the most expensive ones. I know that there was like a Trout one that had like 100,000 plus copies made. But I want to just see the most expensive sales.
Oh, they were high. I remember it. I remember looking and I was like, this is nuts. Um,
The most expensive sale was someone having all 50 of the 2020 projects at 12 grand in May 2020. So literally the perfect timing for it.
and that's the base. Like that's the base set.
Probably, yeah. Here's the
Because they
photo
had
sent base
signed they had
card.
signed they had signed individual artist proofs that had like a certain print run, Dave. I remember that.
Yeah, here's the artist proof of Ichiro. That was 2020. The 1 through 30. So like obviously, and this is not gonna look good, so whatever. Like obviously when people were like first buying them, like it was maybe 1,000 or a couple thousand that were being printed. And no one really cared about it until one of the Trout ones came out or something, and it set the world on fire. Just so funny, man. I forgot about these in a way. But to be fair, I have one in my Zion case back there. It's the Tony Gwynn one, but Snoop Dogg made it, and that might not even be 2020. That might have been a new project, and I think that one's worth like $50. Let's see. That's Topps Project 70. I don't know what the fuck this is, but hey, all right, 21 bucks for the 79, 40, 36. This got a little more value, but that's not really saying much considering half of these are literally paperweights, and that's an insult to paper.
Yeah, I think I still have a stack of them. I don't even bother to doing anything with them. I just have them like tucked away somewhere. I don't know. I think it shows though that in the card space, right? Like not even related to performance or anything related to an athlete, right? You could have cards that are being produced and like the amount of trend and influencer involvement and all these other factors drive prices where a card goes at release and then becomes 10x like what it was selling for at release. Like people tend to, sometimes someone's going to be left holding the bag. And there were a lot of people with those cards. I remember during the pandemic, there were a lot of people those bought those cards at high price points that were left holding the bag. And it was bad. Like it
Of
was
course
not.
it was. But that also then leads into the main thing I know that you want to talk about, which is a perfect segue. Um, Basically, you had posted on Instagram yesterday, so Monday at time of recording. One quick question to ask yourself when conducting business: am I still making money while operating with integrity? The amount of people out here just straight up lying about comp values, damaged cards, and conducting themselves unethically is simply ridiculous. Something needs to change, and people need to be held accountable. I agree with everything here, but unfortunately, in my opinion, it's never going to happen because of what this industry is. Am I saying it's a good thing? No. But I'm sure you and I both know of people who are, let's say this in a nice way, scummy individuals in real life whose outlet is degenerate gambling or trading cards that lead to more problems. And there is nothing that could reasonably be done to change that because this is a self-policing industry that's worth billions of dollars. You know what self-policing means? Nothing. It means nothing.
Well, it really depends, right? I mean, there are people that have gotten held accountable. Like I remember during the COVID era, the guy from California, remember Mark's cards? Like he
That is
ran.
what, dude. That is one person who fumbled the bag so
Mhm.
hilariously that it's actually kind of crazy. But you're right. Mark did get caught.
And then on top of that, there were people that got caught with trimming. There were people that got caught that have known in the public eye in the card space that have been known for that kind of are sometimes a public outcast in some fashion for doing that, right? I'm not saying you can get someone arrested, right? But people can know that when someone's selling damaged cards or trimming cards or or not paying for the items that they claim. Like those are people I steer clear of doing business with. And
Of course, and that's a smart thing. The unfortunate reality is that for every Mark cards there was, for people who are not aware, because this is a couple years ago now, Mark was running a PSA service for people where he would either deliver it to PSA's office directly or would get it shuttled there. And I think he owed like $100,000 plus in debt. He actually was a great guy, but a terrible business owner. It kind of is a self-inflicted injury there, but for every Mark's card there's hundreds, if not more than hundreds, of people just like him with poor ethical behavior. And I don't think he's a bad person. I think he made a lot of mistakes. But there are those who conduct themselves in very shady and bad business practices who never get caught or get their day in the public eye, which is
I think from my understanding, I mean, I knew a lot of card shop owners and people that were involved with him, and I talked to him from time to time in person. Um, from my understanding, like he was doing that, he was being very successful with his PSA submissions, taking those on for people, and then he started opening a shop, and then he started diving into all these other different realms, and next thing you know, he was using money from new submissions to pay off debt from old submissions that he owed PSA at. So then it ended up just being a situation where, he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and basically it got to the point where he got himself too deep. That's basically, he owed over $1 million. I know he was huge.
Liabilities of over $1.36 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had approved his PSA group submitter, indicated that he had taken in over $954,000 in 2020 and $4.4 million in revenue during 2021, but because of his debt, ran out of money in August. That is a generational fumbling of the bag, because while this was COVID timing, the spike had not apexed yet, and he still would have been successful had it kept on going. And it's an impressive and very sad thing that happened. But that's just a drop in the bucket, unfortunately, of like kind of the issues in our industry. And I don't think there's a way to drain the swamp, to use a lack of a better phrasing or word. Because in my opinion, it's just going to keep happening. There are people who trim cards today that still attend shows that I know, who are still actively out there buying, selling, and trading cards. And people either have a short memory or it can be bought out very easily. So,
yeah. I mean, also, like I tell people all the time, sometimes you got to look at and sticking it to what you're good at, right? Like, so there's a lot of people now in this space. They see, some people are doing grading submissions. Some people are doing starting card shows. Some people are doing this. Some people are doing that. And they see someone else getting successful and they think, well, I could do that too. It doesn't mean it's always going to work out. And I think he had something really good going for him. But then he said, let me dive into this realm and let me make more money in this realm. And next thing you know, he got over his head. That happens to a lot of people. They sometimes need to take a seat back and say, what works well for me? And sometimes, is that good enough, right? Like, that's what you have to think sometimes. Can I be a specialty dealer, a specialty card dealer, but maybe I don't need to run a show, or I don't need to have an individual brick and mortar shop or whatever. You have to figure out what works well for you and how much you can really take on, because this is the type of industry that if you don't keep up, you won't make it. Like, that's the thing.
Or you just keep fucking people over until you make it, because the person who altered the Juan Soto 101 Superfractor auto, I'm not sure if you know who it is, but is still actively around doing things, and people seem to forget you can outlive the haters if you just stick it out long enough, and it happens.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the thing is, right, like you said, it's basically a very like a non-monitored industry where like the only real regulation is by the people within it. Yep. I mean, obviously the companies can have some sort of involvement, right? But realistically, it comes down to who do you want to deal with and who do you not want to deal with? Like you talk about it all the time. Everyone's got a lot of money at these big shows. If you're going to give a deal to someone, you're probably going to want to give a deal to someone that you care about, not someone that you have had poor experiences with, or you say, okay, I picked up a really good deal. I just want to get some of that cash back. Let me leave some room on the table for someone that I have a well-established relationship with. Like,
It's so funny that like that is the thing that like I think because you're a little bit. How old are you, Rob? You're
I'm
30.
30.
Okay, you're 30, so you're a little bit older, man. I'm 28. The next generation of people who are like 12 to 20 who need to kind of get that is your personality and how you treat people really does matter when everything else is equal. Dude, if I had fucking 50 grand to spend tomorrow on buying out heavy, bro, let me cash you out, bro, and pay X percentages. Yeah, my DMs would be full, but if I was a piece of shit and I conducted myself poorly, it wouldn't matter. It's not if I had $5 million, I could say, I don't even need your money. Fuck everyone else. I have FU money. It doesn't matter. But if you're not that person, which guess what? Everyone listening to this podcast is not that person. You need to be a professional. And if you're not a professional, you will run out of buyers quickly because guess what? There's many other people out there with 50 grand to spend as opposed to 5 million.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, right? Like, it all comes back to, like, you mentioned the word that really like ticks me off in the hobby. Like,
Industry?
everyone says percentage.
Yep.
Percentages only matter if you agree upon value. Like, if someone wants to say, oh, I'm paying 85%, but they're choosing the lowest comp value, it's like within, with 5 recent comps, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to agree upon the value, right?
No,
Like, you have to agree, okay, what percentage in your mind as a dealer are you willing to take on certain cards? Now, some percentage you're going to take lower, some you're going to take higher. You're going to expect higher, right? But it depends on the quality of the card, the player, the how rare the card is, etc. But it only matters really if you agree upon what the true value of that individual asset is, right? That's what it really comes down to.
well, it also comes down to your position also because you do this full time, correct?
Yes.
You have to maybe feel more forced to make a sale if it's a bad weekend versus someone who doesn't do it full time and they feel like they can press you a little bit more, or oh, they're taking so much trash on me, like I guess I can let them win on this one large card if they're taking 25 bricks with it associated. Like, it's so funny that like the dynamic that exists in our industry is very easy to understand but gets more complex when you add in more factors.
Yeah, I agree. I think realistically, with the higher price shows like the ones that I mentioned, when it comes to Fanatics, when it comes to the National, when it comes to Dallas, when
Burbank.
it comes to Burbank, you have to really look at it and say, how much table space or booth space do I really need? What's my inventory looking like leading up to the show? Do I need to buy more? Is it really going to be a show that I need to be aggressive selling because I have a lot of heavy inventory? You really need to think, what is your game plan going into the show, and how are you going to adjust your pricing based off of that? Now, if you're short on inventory and you're looking to buy, maybe you're going to be buying heavy leading up to the show. Maybe your mindset is, well, I have what I have. I'm going to be buying at the show, but I'm not just going to give stuff away. I'm not just going to, but maybe you're heavy in inventory and you say, I need to be a little bit more aggressive in my pricing. I'm doing a booth at Fanatics where my corner booth could be 3,500, $4,000 all in. And then you add in hotels and airfare and meals and all these things. And you say, well, if I'm operating on 10 to 15% spread and my expenses are $8,000, I got to sell 10x that to justify the trip, right?
And you know
Like,
what? The vast majority of people who are saying about that show can't afford that.
no. I mean, realistically, a lot of people tend to do shows because they're like, people that don't do it full time or people that aren't as active as you are, they don't understand that. They think, oh, I sold $20,000 worth of cards, but that doesn't matter if you adjust what your cost basis is and also what your expense operating at the show and all the time you have involved as well.
I
Like,
know. Listen, it's just so funny. Like, I think our industry has a lot of opportunity to grow within it. And unfortunately, the bad actors in there are gonna probably stay and probably continue to grow because of like when you have millions of dollars at play or even six figures, that attracts the scummiest people. This is gonna sound bad. I'm gonna say it. So Actually, you might have seen this actually because you set up across me in Dallas. You know Kai, obviously my co-host
Mhm.
generally, who maybe got stolen by the cartel, maybe not, whatever. The last Dallas show, the one before that, whenever he was actually there, he made a deal with someone, and they comped out the cards, came to an agreement, and the guy ended up coming back to him and started yelling at him about like pricing and comping of stuff. And they agreed to a price. They did it all together. And this is someone who works with another company. I don't know who it is. So I'm not like hiding details because I don't know it. I genuinely don't know. But like he was like, yeah, my boss like reading me out about like how much I pay for this. I need money back. And Kyle was like, get the fuck out of here. What's wrong with you? This is a grown man. He had to be in his 30s. And I saw him again at a local show in New Jersey. I'm like, what the fuck is this person doing here? And it was a weird experience because I was also standing there when this deal was happening anyway. And I was just like not getting involved because it's not my business. And I would just look at him like, weren't you the guy who yelled at my 22-year-old co-host? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you flip the scenario and Kai sold him the stuff at 70% of comp and messed up, or like purposely like gave him a good deal, do you think the guy would have came back?
Oh,
No.
fuck no. That guy would have found him at every show and be like, my best friend.
Yeah,
Let me buy you
exactly.
a drink. Let me buy you 7. Like, let me get you boozed up and like get a deal out of you.
And it's not like Kai deceived him. They went
No.
through it together. They spent the time going through it together. It's like if I walked up to you and I had $1,000 card and I'm like, there's only one comp in the last 6 months. It was for 975. I'd be like, Dave, you have interest in it at 850.
Fuck
And
yeah.
you'd be like, you'd look at it and you'd be able to tell if it's an $1,000 card. You'd be
Yeah.
able to like just like a general look at it, you'd be like, it's a Hertz Prism Auto 9. That's not $1,000 card. But if it's a 10, you would be like, okay, that sounds right. Like that sounds like, oh, it could be even a little more. Like you don't know, right? But realistically, like it goes kind of back what I mentioned to you before, right? Like you have to have integrity in the way you operate in business, both when you're buying and selling. And like Kai didn't really do anything wrong to manipulate or deceive that guy. Basically, he said, let's go through it. Let's see what numbers work. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, no problem. No sweat off my back, right? Like, but the way I operate is like, listen, like it's like once you walk, it's no different than when someone brings up a card to me and tries to sell me a card and they say, what's your offer on this? If I offer $2,200 and they say, I'll let you know, I'll say, well, my offer can change. And they say, what do you mean by that? I say, that's my offer right now. If you show 10 other vendors in here, it may be $2,000 an hour because you didn't get a better offer. And they look at me like I'm crazy. I say, well, there's a time value of money. There's an opportunity cost for you bringing that because now everyone knows what you're willing to take, and it limits my ability to sell that card and make a profit.
I just tell people that this is the offer right now. If you leave the table, that's it. I
Yeah.
won't honor a deal. But I'm also petty as fuck. So that's
No, like I just tell them my offer could change. Like when
I
they
don't even tell them, dude. More props to you. I don't even honor that. I'm like, this is the offer. It's a yes or no.
yeah.
Okay.
I've always been a person where like I feel like if you're going into a card show and you're selling a card, you should know what you're willing to move it at.
Correct.
Like especially if you're not bringing 50 cards and you're like, oh, like I need, work values on each of these, just give me 10 minutes. Like that's different. Like if someone says, hey, can I sit down for 5 or 10 minutes at your table? Or can I sit down in the lobby for 10 minutes and run through these numbers and see if they work? Or maybe give you a slight counter. Sure, I'll say no problem. That's fine. But you want to know what? Like it's definitely a problem in the space where like people are coming up to dealers like yourself or myself at these shows where we're spending a lot of time and a lot of money to set up, and like we're giving realistic offers, but they still want to like test the room or
They want to find the larger idiot. They want to find the person who's going to pay 91% as opposed to 89.
but I'm the type of guy where I don't like my offer being used against me.
Oh, that's why I don't. That's why I'm the same way. I'm like, all right, you're walking away. The offer is expired.
Yeah.
You can come back in 5 minutes, and the offer would still be expired.
But
I'm also.
That's the same way with Kai, right? Like it's like this situation, right? they worked through the deal. They both agreed upon the terms of the deal. They both shook hands and walked away from the deal happy. And then the guy had buyer's remorse. Maybe he paid a little bit stronger than his boss wanted to pay, but it's not like Kai didn't give him a fair deal, right?
Well,
Like
it's just it's so funny too. If it was like a 12-year-old kid or something like that, that's one thing. This is a grown adult, and like obviously he's not doing particularly great or bad or good if he's at a 30-table show in New Jersey. So I don't know, man. It's just I'll always remember that, frankly, because one, it's hilarious. It really is. Kai's the least confrontational person I know. Frankly, it should have been me getting in fights. But Kai's very unconfrontational. And secondly, it's just like this is the industry in 2025. It's math. It's a fucking math class, dude.
And it's not just math, right? Like I know you sometimes are like people will sell you short over a few bucks, right? Like I know you say that, but like sometimes though, I will like if it's someone that I have a really long-term established relationship with and they've always been fair with me, like and it's from like a different time. Like there was a time you could go to Dallas and if you had 100K on you, you could buy $130,000, $140,000 worth of cards with 100 grand. Like there was a time you could do that. Now is not that time. But like there was a time like not this past Dallas, but the Dallas prior. I think what was that, January or February? Lane came up to my table and he was like, "Hey, we haven't done a deal in a while. I need to buy for the shop. Like, let's work a deal." And like I probably moved some stuff at a few points lower that I normally would sell it at. But I did it because of our long-term established relationship that I've known him for 5+ years, right? Yeah. Like it's like sometimes you got to think big picture. You got to say, is this someone you could see doing a future, enhancing or reviving that business relationship with, even though you've had a long-standing personal relationship with them? And like that's how I saw it. Like I said, he's always been a great guy. He works with a good shop. He's trying to get something done. It works for both sides. Let's get it out the door. And sometimes that's the way to go too, right? Like everyone now is so numbers focused that they sometimes forget the big picture. And it's, are you making money? Does it make sense? And are you enhancing your business relationships? Because like you look at people that are like, oh, I only sell to one repacker. I only sell to one person, right? Well, to be fair, some of the biggest repackers have had major things happen to them within the last year or two.
If not all of them, honestly, at this rate.
But what I'm saying is, if you only sell to one repacker, you could be dead in the water if you're doing this full time. If something happens to them, if they have public,
outcry.
Yes, correct. So like in my eyes, I always like to have a wide array of personnel who I can deal with when it comes to moving inventory. I don't like to.
I saw the backyard. I saw the debut. I don't give it. I have unfortunately kind of put my morals at the door on some things, and that's something I deserve some shit for, which is fair. But unfortunately, that is the vast majority of people, and I'm at least want to be honest about it. How many people could you have a conversation with off camera where they would tell you the truth versus like what they would say that's more like correct on camera? Yeah. It's a lot more than you want to admit. I know that.
No, I mean, listen.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but the way I look at it is sometimes it really depends on the position you're in. It depends on if you're light on inventory, if you're heavy on inventory. It depends how much cash you have. It depends on
who's at the show,
who you're dealing with, right? Like for me, even though it was a little bit lighter than I normally would move it at, me and him got the deal done. I made it work.
Yeah. Because Lane is great. And like Lane can also drop 6 figures at any moment in time if needed. It's always worth working with someone like that because
and he's not going to just take the blue chips. He's going to take some of the challenging cards too.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about it.
It's like what I tell people, right? Sometimes when they come to sell me cards, it's as long as the numbers are fair, I'll take everything. Everyone else, they'll pay you a few points higher, but then you're going to be left with the dog shit.
Yep.
And then you're going to be stuck there sitting there with your hands held together and you're going to say, what do I do with these now? Like, that's the thing. Like, sometimes you're better off getting a more realistic number across the board versus getting your highest number on your best stuff. if you walk up to someone with a Curry auto or a LeBron RPA or whatever, but then you're walking around with your Tyler Hero, momentum auto that's worth $15. Like, good luck getting someone to buy it for more than $7. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So funny. I mean, you're absolutely right too. There's a million different ways to do this. Like, if you can't make money in our industry, like, I feel bad for you. Like, there's a million and one different ways to do it. So, but all of them should involve being a decent person, which I don't know if they're always going to be, but that at least is like kind of like, the ending ribbon on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, everyone can have a different strategy or a different approach. Some people sell online, some people, consign cards, some people send it to, you
Comp
know,
C.
Comp C, some people do shows. Everyone has a different. Some people are just true collectors and they just never sell a single card that they buy. Like, you never know who you're gonna deal with. And like, you get also like interesting stories. Like, sometimes, you have someone that's been looking at a show for a card and everyone's so overpriced, and then you got a decent deal on it and you're able to give them a fair price. Like, I remember last year there was a kid at the National. He had been walking around the show looking for, I can't remember exactly. It was like a downtown of a player, and like, he was willing to pay like full comp, and no one would sell him the card. Like, literally, like, no one would sell him the card. Like, everyone was like 15-20% over comp on it. So like, I had gotten the card at like, I don't know, 85 or 87. So I maybe made like 5%. I told the kid to take it. Like, I was like, listen, like, I'll meet you tomorrow. Like, his father messaged me on Instagram. He was like, my son really wants the card. Like, we're willing to pay you last comp on. I'm like, listen, man, just like, give me $50 below that and it's yours. Like, take it. I'll meet you tomorrow morning. We'll grab a cup of coffee. That's it. Like, sometimes doing that is going to bring a customer for life. And I firmly believe that, like, because I still have people that I've dealt with from 2 years ago that I never see at shows anymore. And they still message me, hey, I'm looking for cards of this player. If you get anything in, let me know.
Yep.
Like, and
Some of the best people I deal with are people with no card accounts who I've treated with respect for years and years and years now, who sell me thousands of dollars a lot a week, or buy stuff off me, or overtrade for stuff because, like, they know, hey, yeah, there's an entire community out there, but this person has always been right and they're respectful. I want to deal with them, and it's ironic coming from me to say it, but like, it costs nothing to be costs nothing to be nice, which is ironic because I'm a dick sometimes. But like, that's just the nature of it. Like, I own that, but I'm usually more of a dick playfully than genuine asshole. But like, it happens.
I mean, this space shouldn't always be serious, right? Like, I think sometimes everyone makes the money very confrontational. Like, I
Yep.
and like, I've really tried to like remove that, having that any of that approach in the way I conduct business. Like, it's like, listen, like, if I have room and I'll give you the best number I can. If you have a relationship with me, I'll give you the best number I can. If that doesn't work, I'm so sorry. Like, you're just gonna have to find it somewhere else. Like, and if I'm below market and the numbers are fair, like, there's not much I can do besides that, right? Like, I can't. It's not like I'm doing this just for fun. I still have to pay my bills, right? So
Yeah,
that's the thing.
that's the main. That's the thing that I'm afraid of. If I ever did cards full time, is just like, you might be forced to sell yourself short. But I guess in this industry too, honestly, selling yourself short is 85%, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
and it also depends on like how you position yourself. Like for me, like, like, I have a good place to live in. Like, I don't really have a lot of like high overhead.
debt per month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, for me, like, the big thing is, right, like, everyone now, like, I mean, you see it. Like, it's nothing. It's no knock on anyone, but you see it at the shows. Everyone wants to rock their $20,000-$30,000 watch, or their designer backpack, or their $1,000 shoes. Like, I don't really operate that way, and like, I personally think like that's the shit that gets you,
Robbed.
get you robbed. That makes you a target, and like, I've seen people that have gotten robbed over the last year or two, and like, most of the time it's because heavy money's being shown, or people are making themselves visible Like most of the time I don't even price my cards anymore. And people ask me why. And I tell them, I'll say, maybe for Fanatics or the National I will. But I'll say, if you know me and I have a fair, like, I'm going to give the best price I can. I'll try to make it work as best as I can. But the thing is, the reason why some of these people have gotten targeted as dealers at shows is because they have everything priced. You see one guy's showcase and you see $2 million worth of cards in one showcase. How hard is it to follow the guy out to the parking lot and point a gun
Pull
at?
the knife.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, people sometimes forget this is not different than walking out of a bank with a bankroll. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Dude, I'll tell you this. I'm not going to come to the Fanatics Fest with a Zion case. Are you kidding me? I'm commuting in from New Jersey. I'm going to look like the most fucking poor, inconspicuous person I possibly can. Not because I don't have money, but because I don't fucking trust any of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to look just like an average person going to work.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, it means nothing to me to have a nice watch or like shoes or a Gucci fucking bag. I don't even know Gucci makes men bags. I don't care. Like, it means literally nothing to me. I'd rather look like I have for 10 years wearing literally a black t-shirt and red basketball shorts. So literally what I'm wearing right now. I will dress like that forever, whether I have fucking $5 million in the bank or 500. It doesn't mean anything.
And if you have it, why do you need to feel to bring it to a show, right? Like,
to impress men. You want to impress dudes.
You're trying to make a statement, right? But like, why are you trying to make a statement when you know you've got a lot of cash and a lot of cards on you? It's like for me, like I deal with the repackers, I deal with high volume and high price buyers. I don't like any cash being shown in videos on my deals. I don't like any because
that's fair.
I think it's realistic that people are made targets because, like, I know in the past year year and a half there have been just at least 2 robberies in Philly. I know that.
Oh yeah, Trent got robbed, which is awful. Trent's such a good guy.
And
Trent and Matt.
Yeah, Trent and Matt, and then I think Remington got robbed there in the past too. So I mean, like, for me, like, the way I look at it is like, you have to be very careful who you keep in your circle, who you set up with, who you show what deal. Like, a lot of the time at the National, like, there have been times at the National where I'm conducting a major size deal or a Fanatics, right? And there's 5 people watching around. I tell people, I'm like, hey, are you interested in something? If not, like, I want the deal just between A and B. Like, it's like, are you interested in something? If not, just come back once I'm done operating with them. And it's nothing personal. It's just, I don't like
cards on.
What's that?
You're not paying attention. $10,000 card gone.
Well, it's not even just that. I don't like, it's also not fair if I'm buying something or they're buying something from me for someone to hear what they exactly paid. It's like, it's no one else's business but the party selling and the party buying. That's really, and private sales, it shouldn't be anyone else's business but your own, right? Like, and people may have an opinion on that. They can have their own opinion, but
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I try to keep things more like loosey-goosey. Like, when I'm not directly selling or buying a card, I keep it about like 70% seriously. If we're talking a major deal, then yeah, obviously it's important, but like, I try to keep it more like lighthearted.
Yeah. But I remember, like, I think at Burbank, like a year and a half ago, I was doing like a deal on I was doing a trade. It wasn't even cash. It was a trade. But it was like, I had moved on from a bunch of my Hertz stuff. I moved like 50 or 60 grand worth of Hertz cards in trade. And I was taking on LeBron SPX RPAs and T-Law Gold XRCs and all these different cards, right? And like, I knew I was taking those cards in. The other cards had concrete values. The cards I was taking in, some of them were more subjective, right? You had to more eyeball it. I don't want people listening in. Like, I knew people that were potential buyers of those cards were standing there watching the deal, listening in to hear what I got that card valued at, just to try to use it against me in negotiation. So it's like, for me,
then
like,
you should have been the one set up. I don't care. That's the response.
That's what I kind of tell them. It's like guys, like if you're not interested in transacting with the vendor, like it's time for you to like keep it moving. Like it's not me trying to be aggressive. It's just more of like you
Matter
have
of
to
fact.
you have to think about it, right? Like you have to think about it like you're not setting up shop in that space. Someone else is. So it's like unless you're an active customer or adding value to them, why are you pocket watching, right? Like that's sometimes an issue in the space. Everyone wants to know what someone paid or what their cost is. I could really care. If I buy a house for 20% of what it's worth, that doesn't mean that's what it would sell on the open market. If you get a steal on something, Dave, and it's a $10,000 item and you paid $6,000, that doesn't mean I'm going to offer you 6,500.
Hey, listen, sometimes that works though.
Yeah, sure, but realistically, I'm the type of person I could care less what someone paid. If you overpaid, that's on you. If you got a great deal and you're willing to give a fair price, okay, I'm gonna pay you stronger than because I don't care what you paid for something. What someone pays for something doesn't really matter in the space. It's what it's worth now and what someone's willing to pay. That's
You're
really
right.
what it comes down to.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's an interesting spot to be in. I don't really know. It's a moral question, and unfortunately, I'm a little more negative. I think about it than the average person. I don't think that. I don't know. It kind of sucks, but it is a good conversation. Rob, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, I think the one thing that we should probably touch on is for you, for each of us, what do we have for upcoming shows? I think people want to know. So we've got
Um,
Fanatics coming up in a week and a half
yep,
for both of us.
and then national, and I'm probably skipping Burbank this year. Actually,
Well, I booked 2 tables for Burbank.
nice.
So I may only be using one. So if you're interested, just let me know.
I actually will. So the reason why I'm on the fence about it is because I just started a new job last week, which
Congrats.
is thank you, which is a shame because Kendall can't come to Fanatics Fest because he got a job. So fuck him. He's working. What a loser. Who works anymore? No, but I just started a new job. I don't know how that timing is going to work out. So I'm going to lean towards not going because there's so many Dallas shows in the future anyway. Literally, I think a week or two after is September Dallas. So I think I'm going to just,
Wild, yeah.
I'm going to skip Burbank to not fly across the country and go on vacation to just be in Dallas indefinitely. So
Well, if something changes and I have availability, obviously I'd give you a first shot
I
on it.
appreciate it. That's good to know. And if you want priority space at Burbank, make sure you follow the podcast. Rob, thank you so much, man. Obviously, your Instagram is at collectors choice cards. I'm just gonna flub everything. I will plug our booth space next week because I don't even think it's on the map yet. I know you sent it to us like in the group chat, but like
I think it was 3325. Let me see. I think our booth.
text me the thing and I'll pump it next week, like all these QB prices and everything else, and I'll plug it in here at the end of the podcast too. But
Yeah, and for me, with obviously just to kind of touch base on what Dave mentioned, I've got Fanatics. I may be at Chantilly in a couple weeks after the week after Fanatics. That's
oh yeah,
TBD. And then I'm skipping Dallas in July. We'll both be at the National. And then after that, you're probably looking at for larger shows. You're looking at Burbank, and then football season ramping up. First week in Dallas. So it's going to be the next couple months. June, July, and August are going to be pretty
go
hectic
time.
in terms of larger scale shows.
It's go time. So buckle up, everyone. If you're not already, it's happening. But Rob, thank you again for joining. Next week, maybe Kyle will be back, but probably not because I didn't pay his bond. And we'll see you guys then. Peace.
Thanks again, Dave. Take care, everyone.
Yes, sir.
All right.